Welcome to another one of our shows on Reg Athwal TV. I'm joined by a family business tycoon, fourth generation family business, Mr. Surender Kandhari. Pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you, Reg. Thank you very much.
I can't believe that since 1976, from stepping foot here in Dubai, you've built a phenomenal business. You know, over 50 countries, few thousand employees, 30 plus business units. I mean, it's an incredible story.
I think it's all God's grace. And they always say one thing, that the harder you work, the luckier you are. You don't work hard, luck doesn't favor those people who don't work hard at all. But I think more than hard work, I think I've been very blessed that whatever I've dreamt of has come true. Whatever I've worked for I've achieved. And it's due to the strong family ties I have.
So could you tell us a bit about the history? So being a third generation yourself, a bloodline, family business.
Okay, my grandfather...
Started with your grandfather?
Yeah, my grandfather started in 1942.
Yes.
See, he was from Kandhar. He moved from Kandhar to Jhelum, which is in Pakistan now. And in 1942, my father moved from Jhelum to India. And he set base in a place called Vijayawada in Andhra Pradesh. And then the entire family moved before partition. I was born in Vijayawada in 1948. And that was just after the partition, and the story began from Vijayawada. I did my schooling in Vijayawada, then I went to Hyderabad Public School, which was the only big school in Andhra Pradesh. And after schooling I went to Madras, went to study my BCom honours in Loyola College, where I also was the student union president and the captain of the hockey team. So I think
Fantastic.
I've been blessed that I've been able to achieve whatever I wanted to achieve. After my graduation, I went to Bombay, did my articles with A.F. Ferguson and Company. And then my father said that enough is enough. Come and join the family business.
So you joined, I believe...
In 1969.
Yeah, I remember reading it in your book, so 1969, and then within, 7 years or so, you end up exploring Dubai.
In fact, in 1975, the oil boom had started in the Middle East, and my father said, why don't we look at the Middle East and expand our business to the Middle East. So he came in September 1975, and then he said, why don't you go and have a look? So I came on the 19th December 1975 to Dubai, and I thought Dubai was the best place in the world, because...
Is that because you only saw sand?
Yeah, because I think there was a lot of scope.
Yeah.
It's the same story from the Camel to the Cadillac.
Right.
And I think, I must say one thing here, that the typical example of a salesman going to sell shoes in Africa. When the first salesman went to Africa to sell shoes, he came back saying, sorry, nobody wears shoes, so I have no scope there. The boss was very upset. He sent the second salesman. The second salesman said, wow, nobody wears shoes here, so I can sell as many shoes as I want. So just a way of thinking. Yeah. So when I came to Dubai,
saw the opportunity.
I came to Dubai, I found a fantastic opportunity.
Can I go back and ask you, Mr. Kandhari, with your father, grandfather, the founders of the business, they were in the tire business, correct? They were one of the biggest.
Started
in South
in
India.
Automotive spare parts, so moved into tires.
So growing up, that was already in your DNA.
Absolutely.
So
in fact, during my vacation time, my father would not allow me to go and play soccer or play cricket. I'd sit in the office and start learning the business.
From what age?
From 15.
Fantastic.
After I finished my schooling, I had a 3-month vacation, and 3 months my father took to give me an order book. Please go and sell tires and wheels to the east coast of Andhra Pradesh.
Great. So that gave you some of the training.
Basically, once you get
understood the family business,
once you get committed to your family, then and plus you see, in my case, I could not say no to my father. Neither can I say no to my son today. So I think I'm sandwiched in between. Because those days, the parents were the be-all and end-all, and they were the authority.
So you expanded the similar business?
Similar business. We were in the automotive spare part business.
Very good. Yeah.
We then moved it to tire business and then battery business. So we are in the same automotive field, and the same thing we're doing today in Dubai. And we are now in Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Nigeria, Ghana, Europe, in India, and in Asia, in China. We do the same business. So we are quite happy, because one thing I believe that, one should do what he knows. And I stick to my core business. And this I'm very happy because I think I know it all. I don't want to venture into inventing the wheel again.
Because some entrepreneurs or serial entrepreneurs and some family businesses end up building very diversified conglomerates.
Well, good luck to them. They're doing a good job and they're happy. But I'm happy with what I'm doing myself. I stuck to my core business and I'm very happy. I told the same thing to my son and told the same thing to my grandchildren, the same thing. Well, it's their decision what they want to do, but my message will be stick to the core business.
So I know we've got limited time. You're a busy man, so I want to ask you some quick questions and help the viewers get a bit of insights, inspire them, educate them. Briefly, I mean, I know you're a very wealthy man and money does come into it, but at the same time, you're a very spiritual man and you have a fantastic balance. Let's explore both. First of all, when it comes to wealth, you know, I've done my research and, you know, you've been on the Forbes 100 Indian rich list for a number of years. I don't know what the number is today, but there's a lot of zeros. And but what does that mean to you when it comes to wealth?
Nothing.
And
Wealth,
being rich, being wealthy, building
I think a rich man is that man who's a happy man, firstly. Secondly, a person who's content in life and is able to serve, he's a rich man. Having a lot of wealth in your bank account, having a lot of property and not doing anything for the community, not serving the community, not looking after God's children, because we are all God's children, we are all one. Some are fortunate, some are not fortunate. But those who are fortunate, if they can spare their time and money for the less fortunate people, I think we are serving God's children.
So how do you balance that with a business that's like you've grown 40 plus years, grown, different countries, different business units, from tires to batteries to storage to other things. What's the driver there? So, you know, where does money come into it and growth and continue to become bigger? What's your thoughts around that?
If you have confidence in yourself, if you have belief in yourself that what you're doing is the right thing, 50% of the battle is won. You're successful only if you're confident. If you're not confident, and if you're nervous and you're always a negative thinking person, you can never be successful. So I think successful people are those who are self-confident and who have the courage and conviction to go forward.
So what motivates you today as the chairman of your family business to keep growing, keep continuing? What's the motivation?
I think if you don't grow, you begin to die. So you have to grow. If you don't grow, you're left behind. Others will grow. Today is a very competitive world and one has to be very careful and very cautious. And one has to change. One has to think out of the box. What was done 40 years ago is not done today. The tire business 40 years ago, the battery business 40 years ago was totally different from today. So we have to start working on research, inventing new ideas, new methods of growing up. If you don't change, I don't think one can be successful today because the world is changing so fast.
So what I'm hearing is absolute focus on the core business, continue to expand. You're driven by growth, you're driven by that challenge instead of standing still. But at the same time, you've donated a lot of money into charities and helping the communities. My understanding is you committed over $20 million in building the first proper Sikh Gurdwara in the UAE with approval from His Royal Highness Sheikh Mohammed.
I think it's not what I've committed or what I've given. I think I'm very blessed to be having the opportunity. God has given me the opportunity to serve. And that's what I believe in very strongly. If one has the opportunity, one is blessed to serve, one should not shy away from that.
You talk a lot about that in your book, about Saveur, about service,
Exactly.
Could you explain a bit of that to viewers who don't understand the concept of Saveur?
I think in the Sikh religion, we are supposed to give daswant. Daswant means 10% of your net savings. I'll explain this in a little brief that if you earn $100 and you spend $90, your saving is $10. So 10% of $10 is $1 is equal to total 1% of your total wealth. If you must compulsorily give towards community services.
Fantastic.
I decided to give it to the Gurdwara because the Gurdwara is doing community service, and this way I could serve the people. Because in Dubai, in the Sikh community, we are 95% blue collar people who need to have a worship place, who need to come and have langar in the Gurdwara. So the necessity of building the Gurdwara was very, very
And it's open to every nationality.
Today we have more than 50% of the people coming to the Gurdwara are non-Sikhs.
Or non-Sikhs.
And we are very happy to serve
You're
everybody.
feeding how many people typically on a weekend now in the temple?
Every day between 1,500 to 2,000 people.
Incredible.
And then on Fridays, which is a holiday in Dubai, is 15 to 20,000 people. And like any festival days, over 50,000 people. But one thing I've seen, the food is never short. Because it's not our house, it's God's house. God takes care of it. I always tell everybody that, when you come to Gurdwara, one should forget his ego and submit to the Lord. Once you submit to the Lord and say, I am nobody, I'm God's servant, I'm God's child, then the amount of pleasure you get, the satisfaction you get when you enter the Gurdwara is unimaginable.
So there's the balance. There's the balance we were talking about.
Absolutely.
You talked about the business side and growth.
Absolutely.
You've got the spiritual
if I go
side,
to the Gurdwara and say I'm a
side,
rich businessman, and then I'm doing the wrong thing. Once I enter the Gurdwara, I'm entering God's house. I'm His servant. I'm His child. Once I'm able to submit to the Lord gives you everything.
So a few other tips, Mr. Kandhari. Let's take different people who could be watching this. First of all, let's take a entrepreneur who's starting a business. Okay, put yourself back 40 plus years in Dubai with your family, 2 young boys. There's nothing here but opportunity, and you started. So if someone's in that situation today, just a few tips on what are some of the steps they should go through. What should they consider if they're going to be successful and they're starting up?
First of all, one has to have confidence in oneself and be sincere to yourself. If you're sincere to yourself, you never go wrong. Never take shortcut methods, because the shortcut methods don't last too long. One has to be sincere. One has to be absolutely focused. Then we can be successful. And I think for the new entrepreneurs, new people who are entering the business, Rome was not built in a day. So one has to work hard. One has to have patience. One has to have the conviction that we can grow. One should have the satisfaction that we can achieve something. And then there's nothing stopping you from that.
And what are the lessons that you've gone through, like the success and failure, but what's some of the biggest mistakes you've ever made, which was a turning point for you as a businessman and had a positive impact later?
See, today's day and age is different, but 40 years ago, we were very trusting. We trusted everybody who came and met with us. Every customer who came, we trusted him. So, it's more of a belief in others. Today, due to technology, due to science, things are changing. So one has to be very calculative, one has to be very careful, and one has to watch the progress forward. Because I think it's very important to, before you sign any paper today, read what you're signing.
Because you say in your book, in the old days,
we never signed any papers.
You shook hands, you're done.
That was older days we shook hands, and today if you don't, you shook hand. I don't.
And now you've got a legal counsel.
Exactly. In our group, we never had a legal counsel. For the last 4 years now, we have 2 legal counsels, and they are watching every step we do, because today they require that. The modern business requires that.
What about the other side? Let's say somebody who's got a second generation family business. Yeah, it could be a $30 to $100 million type business, and they want to take it to the next stage. What's your advice there for a family business, second generation?
I think here, the tolerance comes into effect. One has to be patient, one has to be tolerant, because no 2 people are made the same way.
What's your interpretation of tolerance? Because I know you've been researching this. You've got some sort of thesis you're working on right now. Is that right, on tolerance? Or?
Absolutely. And this is my new subject now, because I'm working on my new book is going to be on titled as The Lighthouse of Tolerance.
The Lighthouse of Tolerance.
And
for those of you watching this was the first book, The Temple of My Dreams, based on the journey Kandhari's been through. In this book, there's a chapter where his grandfather said to him when he was 8 years of age, one day you must build a temple.
Exactly.
So get it from Amazon. For those of you in the UAE, you can pick it up from the local bookshops, but worth reading, and look forward to reading the next one. Even though I told you when I last met, I'd read this twice. Well, I've read it now 3 times.
My God.
Yeah, because this time I've actually made notes, which is important, as a summary. But tell us a bit more about what's going to be in the next book.
The next book basically is going to be a comparison of UAE and India. India is the oldest country in the world which had tolerance. And UAE is the newest country in the world which is promoting tolerance. So India and UAE, we're going to make a comparative study where people of various multicultural faiths live. Like in UAE, we have over 205 nationalities. In India, we have 5,000 years of history. 5,000 years ago, when Hinduism was the only religion in India, then came Christianity, then came Islam, then came Sikhism, Buddhism, Jainism. All these religions were accepted in India very easily. So that is the tolerant nature of Indians and the people living in India. The same thing today we find in UAE. So I'm making a comparative study between the two. Of course, there's a lot of change because, first of all, the word tolerance is a little bit of a, I would say it's a paradoxical word because you normally accept condescendingly. That's toleration. Tolerance is a word you accept with the condescending.
Can you give us an example in a family environment? So whether it's a husband and wife, a father and a son.
Yeah.
You know,
I would say the word tolerance should be made into acceptance.
Right.
If I accept you with my heart, I think it's much more important than tolerating you.
Got it. Yeah.
So in my book, I'm going to write about people should not only tolerate, should accept. Because the word tolerance is very good. It's the most popular word today. It's the need of the hour, need of the day. But one should upgrade himself from tolerance to acceptance. And I think if one realizes that he can accept with his heart, it's better than tolerating condescendingly.
So with tolerance and appreciation, what else would you add to that when it comes to, in your case, you know, as a married man, you've got a very successful woman behind you, Mrs. Kandhari, and I've read some of her poems in your book. So I'd like to get the audience to have a few tips on relationships, you know, husband and wife teams, partnerships.
There's a saying in the Guru Granth Sahib which says, Kar sukh vasya, bar sukh paya. Means, peace in the house, bring peace to the world. If your home is not happy, you can never be happy anywhere else. So the important thing is, in your house, take care of your wife, look after the house, keep her happy, and your whole day is happy. So it's very important to have peace in the house to bring peace to the world. This should not be forgotten. It's a very important lesson for everybody. And I certainly I talk more about this because the second important thing is man jeete jag jeet. Means if you control your mind, you can control the world. So two important things.
So how do you control your mind?
Through meditation. Through giving up the E in the go. Ego.
Yeah.
If the E can go from ego, then you are controlling yourself.
So meditation, letting go of that ego.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it.
The appreciation you mentioned when it comes to link to tolerance.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
What
What
other values are important to you when it comes to not just family, but also doing business? What are some of the other values? I know you talk about it in your book about ethics.
I think it's very important that one should respect each other, respect the otherness of others. You see, no two people are same. So unless you respect the otherness of others and realize that we are all God's children, because there is God in every human being. There is God in you, there is God in me. If I respect you, I am respecting God. If I am hurting you, I am hurting God. So if that realization comes in the mind of respecting others, like in the Bible they say, love thy neighbor. So the same thing in Guru Granth Sahib says, respect the others.
Got it. So you're very strong when it comes to these values.
Absolutely. I think I'm not a religious person.
Yeah. Would you say
I'm a spiritual person.
Yeah.
Because I think one should realize following the religion to the book sometimes is not very right because it's not practical. One has to change with the times.
So with the time, we've got a few other tips. What makes a good leader?
The best way to be a good leader is you have people who should respect you. If the people who hate you, then you can't be a good leader. You may be a leader by fear, but that's not leadership. Leadership is with respect.
When it comes to building teams, what's more important, loyalty or performance?
Loyalty. Unless there's loyalty, there can be no performance. People can perform, but perform for themselves, not for the company. Like you look at some in cricket, if you say some batsmen, they want to score centuries. They don't care for the team. So very important for every batsman to be a team player rather than just be an excellent batsman.
Few words on strategy. If someone was building out a strategy for their business for the future and what really wants to grow, what are a few things they should look out for to building a good strategy?
The basic thing is have a teamwork. Every corporation, every company today is the people it has. The people build the company, the people are the company. Unless you have proper teamwork, because I say 1 and 1 make 11, not 1 and 1 make 2.
Yes.
So if there's unity and diversity in the company, you never go wrong. So the important thing is to have teamwork, because I'll give you a small example. A friend of mine came from India a few years ago, and in the evening he started boasting, I'm feeding 2,500 families. I said, I'm sorry, I don't agree with you. I think those 2,500 families are working very hard for you to come and sit and have a drink with me in Dubai. You should be grateful to those 2,500 families rather than you boasting that I'm feeding 2,500 families. So it's the way how you think.
Is that back to ego again? As well?
Again, back to ego and back to say that I am so-and-so. That I factor is very bad, because these same 2,500 people who are working in the group are working very hard. They make up your life. They make up your company.
Why do people love working for you? You employ almost 2,000 people, a lot of loyal people. I've met quite a few of them, and they're fantastic people.
I think the important thing is you give respect to every staff. Even the person who makes you a morning cup of tea, you respect him, he'll give you a good cup of tea. If he gives you a bad cup of tea, your whole day is gone.
You're not sure what's in it otherwise.
If he gives you a bad cup of tea, your whole day is gone. So if you give you a good cup of tea, your whole day is bright. So even that person makes tea for you is very important. The driver who drives you, if he takes you on time to the particular appointment, you're happy. If the driver loses his way and goes fast and goes slow, and you see, even the driver is important. The person who serves tea is important. One should realize that every single member of the family, because we call it the Aldobowi family, every member of the family is important. Everyone has to do his work, and in the end, the group will grow.
Could you briefly mention to the audience how the name came about? Because that's a good story. What does
Aldobowi is the man from Dubai. When I came in 1976, we wanted to form a company here, and I went to the Dubai municipality. But those days, they were issuing the trade licenses. And I wrote the International Tire Company as my company name and submitted the papers. The guy said, sorry, you can't choose your name. I have to choose your name. So I said, then I don't know. What name should I choose? He said, okay, I'll give you a name, come out a few days. He wrote in Arabic and gave it to me and said, go outside and get it translated. The name was Shirkat Aldobowi Al Tairat, means Aldobowi Tire Company.
Right.
So I asked him, what's the meaning of Aldobowi? He says, for years to come, you'll remember this. Because Aldobowi means the man from Dubai.
Fantastic.
And wherever you go in the world, people call you Aldobowi, means they call you man from Dubai. And it's a very, very lucky name for us today. We are known all over the world in the tire field, in the battery field as the Aldobowi Group.
Because you couldn't get a name like that in today, could you?
Impossible.
Impossible, yeah.
Impossible. Now the government is controlling all the names, and especially names which are connected with the city or the country. They cannot. The only government owns it.
Moving on to something else briefly, we're in your golf room. Yeah, this is one of your meeting rooms, which is a golf room. So we'll show some images on the footage here of what's around us. You're still playing a lot of golf? I mean, a huge billboard behind us here with a very
next
famous
week we
player.
have a big tournament coming up.
Yes.
We sponsor about 3 tournaments every year, and next week is the Mixed Amateur Open. And last year I won the tournament. I won my own tournament, which was very strange. I was booed down by people. But
wow. And you've been chairman of the Emirates Golf
I was
Club
captain of the Emirates Golf Club in 2008. And I've been the founder member of the Emirates Golf Club from 1981.
Very good.
So, quite happy. Happy to be a golfer. Golf is my passion. I love golf because I think it takes away all your stress.
Well, it seems you've got a good balance, with being the chairman of a great company, got a great family. Your wife writes great poems, which are inspirational. You're spiritual. You play golf. I mean,
it's all God's gift. I would say God has given me everything.
So briefly, next generation. And before, I know we're going to run out of time soon, but how have you groomed the next generation, your son and eventually your grandchildren, to make sure your legacy continues, because you're already at fourth generation. Only 3% of families last beyond 100 years. And you're already at that milestone in the 3% club, which is amazing.
You see, it's very
what have you done there?
It's very important for the children to respect their parents. You see, parents may not be as smart as the children today, because children are more educated, they have more facilities, more gadgets available to, like the Google, but still, what experience the elders can give you, the books can't give you, or the computers can't give you. So practical experiences, if the children want to learn, they learn from the parents only. And I think if the children follow the parents, they'll never go wrong.
On the basis that the parents are good role models, yes? What if the parents are not good role models?
Every parent is good.
Yeah.
No parent is bad for the children. So I think I would say that everybody is good, some are better.
And what if you've got a rebel child, let's say, who shows disrespect, does not want to follow the parents, doesn't want to join the family business? What do you do then?
Then let him go his way.
Right.
I mean, you can't stop him. You can't change him.
You still love them, appreciation, but they do the right thing.
If the son doesn't follow you or doesn't care for you, I always say God bless him, because I don't want to curse him. I don't want to say anything bad about anybody.
Yeah.
So God bless him.
Absolutely. And now you've got grandchildren who one day will be groomed. Your son is a vice chairman, I believe, and now the next gen after that will be groomed.
The grandchildren have to do the same businesses. That's what I wish. But we do not know whether they will follow or not. I'm not sure. I would love it.
But will tyres be here in 50 years' time?
For sure. Tyres will never go out of market. Tyres and batteries are a grudge purchase. You're forced to buy a tyre, you're forced to buy a battery.
Well, batteries are everywhere, aren't they? They're in everything.
You can't, the car can't move.
Yes.
If you have a bad tyre or a bad battery, the car can't move. And today the cars are part of the motion. That's why if you look at our tagline on Aldobowi, the future of motion. So,
well, it's been a pleasure, and I know you've got people waiting for you for other meetings today,
No,
and I really appreciate your time. I'm hoping we can do this again in the future,
Anytime,
especially
anytime.
with the grandchildren
I'd love to.
in the room, and ask them a few questions about the legacy that's been built.
but sometimes, these same young boys are so smart today. They ask me questions I can't reply. When I ask them a question, they go to say, I'll Google and find out. So they have an app to learn, but we have no app to learn.
Well, the education system's changing. It's
Totally,
I mean, the next gen are picking up things
Everything,
faster
they
on
are
their
so
mobiles,
smart,
on laptops, and they're even questioning what's school about.
Yeah.
This is what's happening with the next
And
gen.
it's very difficult to answer them because sometimes the knowledge they have is much more than what we have. But still, I think at the end of the day, we can give them that experience which they can never get from books.
Well, hopefully our viewers have been inspired, been educated.
I hope.
Learned a little bit about you and your brand, and I'm hoping they'll have details on the company and the website here come up so they can connect with your organization in the future if there's a chance of partnering or doing something, or customers who want to know, potential customers who want to know about your company. But I really want to thank you for what you're doing for the community. You're an inspiration to so many entrepreneurs, and also as a family business. How one can continue that legacy. It's a great success story, and I really want to thank you again for your precious time.
Thank you very much.
And thank you very much for watching. And don't forget to subscribe, leave your comments at the bottom, and follow us for other shows in the future. Thank you very much.